Hello Strategist, this is CreepEvee, but you can call me Dylan, and today we're going to be looking at a very fun Pauper deck that I really enjoy. I got a few ideas looking at a few different websites, including Tapped Out, and I decided to modify it a little bit and came up with this little creation. It's not great, but if you like allies and you like ETB triggers, this is the deck for you. So let's take a look at what all we've got. Essentially, the deck revolves around abusing the ETB triggers that the ally archetype is known for. So let's look at our allies really quick, the main ones that we have. We have Halmar Excavator. This one will mill every time a ally or itself comes in, and it mills for the number of allies that you control. So a little bit of disruption. We play 4 of them. We're not really trying to mill our opponent, that's not our main goal, but in the right matchups, if it's a deck that draws a lot, we can sometimes pull it off, and that's always fun. We have McKindy Shieldmate, just for a blocker. Every time it or another ally enters, it gets a +1/+1. It does have Defender, but it comes in essentially as a 1/4, and that's pretty good as far as being a ground blocker. So we run 4 of it. If nothing else, it gives us a trigger for our other allies. Ondu Cleric, this is the infamously annoying one. Whenever an ally or itself enters the battlefield, we gain life equal to the number of allies we control, which means that we can start generating a lot of life very quickly with this deck. Now, probably the main card that you're going to use to win the game in this deck is Umara Raptor. It gets a +1/+1 counter whenever another ally or itself enters the battlefield. So it's essentially a McKindy Shieldmate, but it is a flyer and it is able to attack. So it can be very deadly, and it's usually the card that you win the game with. But we do have other options, and that's one of the things that I like about this deck, is because you have the aggressive option with Umara Raptor. You have the option to try to outrun your opponent with life gain with Ondu Cleric, or sometimes you can even get the mill kill with Halmar Excavator. As far as some of our other creatures, we just have this little guy, because as we know, shapeshifters are allies as well. So it's a nice little trigger for a 1-drop. We don't really have a 1-drop ally in this format because of the 1-drop white creature is a rare, I believe, or at least an uncommon, so we don't have access to him. So we can drop this little guy and we get a nice trigger. We're very rarely going to use its ability to make it into a flyer, but you might need to block something, but generally it's just there for ETB triggers. Speaking of ETB triggers, we have lots of fun ways to make that happen. Cloud Shift, Momentary Blink, Peel from the Reel, Ghostly Flicker, all ways to flick our creatures, and therefore we get new ETB triggers, which is what this deck wants. We want to make Umara Raptor huge, we want to gain a lot of life, and we want to mill our opponent for a lot of cards. We also have Join the Ranks thrown in. That way we can create some more allies. That'll give us 2 ETB triggers whenever we cast it, if it resolves. And we get 2 creatures, which is never a bad thing. As far as our land base, pretty standard for a 2-color deck in Pauper, except we do have Mortuary Mires, 2 of them. This deck is heavily creature based, and with this, whenever it comes into the battlefield, we can pick one of our allies in our grave, we can throw it on the top of our deck, and we can draw it next turn if we need to get back an Umara Raptor that's been killed, or get back our Ondu Clerics, whatever we need at that time. It's pretty handy, and since we have flicker spells like Ghostly Flicker, it can also flicker lands that we control, so we can get more value off of Mortuary Mire. Now, looking over at our sideboard, it's nothing fancy, just pretty standard. You want to have some counter magic, so we have our negates. You could run spells, but I went ahead and went with the negates just as a more broad spectrum way to counter, in case you run up against a deck that plays a lot of artifacts, We have Relic of Progenitus for decks that revolve around using the graveyard a lot, as well as decks that are very reliant on their flashback cards. Turn to Mist, just another fairly reliable flicker spell, but keep in mind that we can flicker our opponent's things with this. So if we have a deck that we're playing against that has a lot of flying blockers or big flying blockers, we might want to move those out of the way so that we can go in and go ahead and attack. Ray of Revelation, just good against heavy enchantment decks like Boggles, or just any sort of enchantments that you don't really like. Maybe a Tortured Existence, always a difficult thing to deal with. And it has flashback, although we don't really have a way to pay for it. It's just one of our more reliable ways to get rid of it with white as our main color. Call to the Heel, another flicker essentially, but I like to bring it in because it can work on yourself, but you can also get rid of big creatures that are creating problems for you on your opponent's side. Slow your opponent down a little bit. And finally, we have our Obsidian Acolyte. We have two different cards of him, but we're running two. He has protection from black, and for white, he can make target creature gain protection from black until end of turn. So really good in those matchups where you're playing against a black control deck that wants to shoot you with a bunch of Doom Blades and all sorts of those nasty kill spells that would mess up a very nice creature deck. So, to summarize, we have a flexible deck that has a fun little theme and a fun little gimmick. It might not be the best in the world, but we're going to find out whether we can win some games with it. I've got a nice cold glass of sweet tea next to me, and we're going to jump in and see if we can get some wins. I'll see you in the games. Alright, playing some blue-white allies in Pauper, and we are up against Te Maestro. They're deciding whether or not they want to go first. They're going to go first. We will be going second. We have only one land, and that is a tap land that does not tap for a color that we use in this deck. So I think we need to mulligan that. This comes back to the old adage of I don't want to go down to 5 and I have one land in hand. So I'm going to keep it, and it worked out okay, but I don't advise playing recklessly like that at home, kids. So we have an Undo Cleric, we can start gaining some life. We have 2 Excavators, we can start milling for a lot of cards. So we have all sorts of options. Let's play a Plains and pass turn. Okay, so Temur, this is what I'm guessing, seeing as he produced green. I could be wrong and he just produced green for whatever, but something tells me that he produced green out of habit, but I might be reading too much into the psychology of this game. Do I want to gain life, or do I want to start milling? I think I want to start milling, because I'm curious as to what he's playing. And I think that that is the extent of it. Okay, so we are playing some sort of Tron. So I almost like milling here. Mill out some Tron pieces. That rarely works, but it has worked out for me before. Plays the power plant. Seagate Oracle. Alright, so let's play an island. Tap 2 islands. Play Halmar Excavator. Normally I would have played the Undo Cleric there, But if I play Ondu Cleric, that means I have to use that Plains, and I kind of want to keep mana open for Cloud Shift, just in case. So we mill off and exclude Mystical Teaching, Seagate Oracle, and a Sagiri Steps. Very happy to get rid of the Mystical Teachings. Seagate Oracle is nice. The Exclude is very good. Accumulated Knowledge. So the question is, do I want to be extremely greedy and try to play a Cloud Shift on his end step? Why not? This is a deck that almost encourages you to be greedy. Or at least that's the way I play it. So I'm guessing he's going to counter that. Or maybe not. Maybe still. Maybe struggling to cast it. There we go, Condescend. No, I cannot pay that huge one cost. Well, don't get greedy, kids. I guess that would be the lesson that we can learn there. Let's play our Ondu Cleric. Let's just play our cards now because he doesn't have a counter open. We mill out another Tron piece. Unfortunately, this one he already has out. I would much rather be milling towers right now. Gain some life. Gain some life, mill some cards. Be milling 8 there. So just to illustrate how quickly the triggers can add up, now we're going to mill 8 cards and we're going to gain 4 because of the way that Halmar Excavator and Ondu Cleric specifically, their triggers work. I'm not going to swing here because but specifically the way they work, Ondu Cleric isn't a Soul Sister trigger. Soul Sister, you gain 1 life whenever a creature enters. Ondu Cleric is specific whenever a ally enters, you gain life equal to the number of allies. So gradually as you play allies, the amount of life or the amount of milling that you do will increase. Some of our other allies like the Shield Mate and the Umara Raptor don't work that way, but it's just kind of like, seems like the Zendikar allies generally worked the way that Cleric and Excavator do. Oh, the Memnonic Wall. Okay, so this is most likely going to be a Dinrava Tron deck. He kills off one of our Excavators. That's not great. We do have Join the Ranks, which can do a lot of damage if we draw it. What do we do? What do we do? Let's just plan on playing Joined Ranks in his end step. Mole Drifter for our opponent, playing it outright so it does not die. He goes to begin combat step. Well, let's play our join the ranks. We'll get some triggers. We'll be gaining 5 life and milling 5 cards, if this resolves. I'm going to take a wild guess and say that it doesn't. Oh. Well, the odds are on our side now. So let's mill 10 cards. It's not bad. That's going to put him to... How many cards in deck? 13. That's not bad. I think that means that our milling is a viable win condition now. We get a shield mate, which means that we have triggers. But do we keep momentary blink open instead? I think that's what we do, because then we don't have to risk our things getting flame slashed, even though shield mate does have its appeal. So our opponent plays crop rotation here. He has now used the prophetic prism. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to play the momentary blink now. We'll just flicker the moth dust changeling. It doesn't really matter. And the reason that we're going to do it now is because he won't have any blue mana to use, whereas next turn he could have a whole lot. Okay, so our opponent sees that we're going to mill a lot of cards and goes ahead and scoops it up. Given the amount of life that I had, he would have had to go through several turns, and he would have had 8 cards to deal with, and that gives us a lot of opportunities. Actually, it would have been 7 after he searched off crop rotation. So that would have given us a lot of opportunities to try to continue to do what we were doing. So what do we bring in? Well, I did not see a Pulse of Marasa, which is normally what you see. It does have the Mnemonic Wall, which means that Relic of Progenitus helps. But normally I would bring it in if I saw the Pulse of Marasa. And I didn't see the Dinrava. I would have liked to have him let us finish out that game so we could have seen more of his deck. I think that we're actually just going to run it back as is right now. Like I said, those would have been the changes that I made had I seen the Pulse of Marasa, but didn't, so let's see what we can do. Okay, so we have pretty much the 3 allies that you want to see, as well as 3 mana and a Ghostly Flicker. You can't get much better than this, so we will keep. We will be on the play. Draw, I mean. Get them mixed up for some reason. Our opponent gets their Swiftwater Cliffs. We're going to play our island, and we're going to pass. So now next turn we have to decide whether we play the Ondu Cleric or whether we play the Halmar Excavator. I say we play the Halmar Excavator because this is a deck that takes its time setting up. Not a whole lot of time, but more time than other times. So we have more opportunities to gain life, whereas milling seems like it works pretty well against a deck that likes to set up like this, because we can mill lovely cards like that that make life a little bit more difficult for our opponent. Not a whole lot more difficult, but more difficult nonetheless. There's the Flame Slash that I was worried about, but we can continue on. In fact, we can actually start using the card that this deck usually wins with. Raptor. He is going to use that expedition map, I assume, to go and get his other Tron piece. Which means that we are dealing with 8 mana on his 4th turn. Not that I'm saying anything negative about Tron, I would never do that. Especially seeing as I play a Temur Tron deck on paper. So I know firsthand just how annoying it can be. He evokes a Muldrifter. Why? Why did he... Oh, he wanted to play another Flame Slash. Okay. I was really confused there for a second. Ondu Cleric would like to have that Cloud Shift mana open, but don't think we can afford to wait around. Plays the Muldrifter outright this time. Let's pass turn, plan on playing Join the Ranks on his end step. If he targets Ondu Cleric, we play Cloud Shift. If he does something after that, we play Momentary Blink. Accumulated knowledge. Drawing a card. Prophetic Prism. Also plays a Shimmering Grotto, which means that he has even more availability to colored mana. Gets to draw a card off Prophetic Prism coming in. In combat, swings a Muldrifter for 2. I'll take that. We'll go down to 19. But hopefully we will gain 6 life on this end step. Or Join the Ranks. Playing out another Muldrifter. So we'll go for the Join the Ranks, and it does not look like he has a way to try and counter that. So we can go ahead and gain our 6 life. So we're back up to 25, and we draw into another Ondu Cleric. Well, that puts us in a difficult position, because we only have 1 white mana, and our flicker spells require white mana. So I think we pass and keep open mana to flicker with to protect our creatures if necessary, and wait to cast Ondu Cleric until we get another white mana. Otherwise, if we go through to his end step without needing to flicker, we can always play Join the Ranks. But we are looking very far behind when you compare board states. But I do not think that we are out of the running quite yet. Crop rotation. Okay. Probably just going to get another Tron piece. Oh no, Haunted Fingraph, which means he's going to get a Muldrifter back. And another Muldrifter. Drawing him 2 cards. I'll take 2. And by 2 I mean 2 2/2s. But we can gain that life back in spades with our join the ranks. It does not get countered, or he tapped mana but didn't counter it. I don't know. Well, he is. Okay, so not countering it, but is playing a response to it. But the life triggers fall off. Well, that's unfortunate. That's pretty much our game plan, but we got our Mortuary Mire, which is nice to have. So what do we get back? I think we have to get back our Raptor. Yes. Play. We'll hold on to the Ondu Cleric, I think. Way we can play it along with the Raptor. Well, I guess we don't want to play the Raptor at the same time. We'll play the Raptor and leave open Momentary Blink mana or Cloud Shift mana, either way. So let's play the Umara Raptor. Luckily we have the Ghostly Flicker so that we can flicker the Mortuary Mire. I have a feeling we're getting countered here. Oh no, Ghostly Flickering 2 Muldrifters. Maybe we should have gotten back our Halmar Excavator, since our opponent is so fond of drawing cards. Mystical Teachings. So I think that we will be fetching a counterspell. And exclude, to be precise. Well, let's go ahead and play the Ondu Cleric. Storm count is at 5. Don't think that that will be coming up for us. But I will thank you, Moto, for letting me know. Never know when it'll come up. Since I've been playing this deck for video footage for you guys, I've noticed something, and that is I'm winning by mill kill more often than I am by hitting with Umara Raptor. So I think that that's this deck saying that I should just be using mill instead of trying to do this other ways. So I am assuming that this is going to be a Rolling Thunder. Yep. That was weird. The Rolling Thunder had the crop rotation art for a second. That was interesting. Alright. Let's reevaluate our plan. I think our plan is the same. I don't really see anything that we want to go down that would help us out enough to bring in negates. So although the siding aspect of this video may be a little bit boring, I think it is the right decision. We'll play first. We will mulligan this hand. This hand is worse, but I really don't like going down to 5 with this deck. Let's put it on the bottom. I feel like we're going to regret this. Know that I'm going to regret this. Please, let's draw planes. That's not a plains, but it is land at least. I just would have much preferred it to be a plains. We have the mana for Peel from Reality, just it doesn't really do anything for us. Play the Prophetic Prism. Well, we got the Evolving Wilds. That's about as much of a plains as we can get without getting one. Comes in tap, but hey, we have it for next turn. It's much better than not having it at all. Alright, we draw a Ghostly Flicker. That's never a bad thing to have. Let's play this Undo Cleric. Trigger goes off. Gain 1 life, pass turn. Him playing that Electrickery last game was pretty scary. It completely shut off our Undo Cleric basically, and just was a general annoyance. It makes counting on jointed ranks a lot harder to do. Opponent plays down another Prophetic Prism. We draw another Undo Cleric. We have 2 Flicker spells. Play Flicker spell and a Bounce spell. The Bounce spell would give him the opportunity to cast Muldrifter again. The Ghostly Flicker would be burning our best Flicker spell. So I think the play is to play Undo Cleric and just try to get ahead on life. Yes, to triggered ability. So we'll gain 4 life there. Pass turn. And I think after that, that's when we start having to keep our mana open. As tempting as playing another Undo Cleric is. Seagate Oracle. So it looks like he's not playing the Denorva build, which is the one that you usually see. I am not complaining because I don't think that I want to deal with that. Well, I think that what I said about sticking with having a Flicker spell open being the right idea still holds true. So we're going to pass and Ghostly Flicker if we have to. Peel from Reality if it seems like the better idea. Whenever we did all that milling, I didn't actually see an Ulamog Crusher. So he might just be playing a one of, because I don't think he would be playing Tron without it. Our opponent attacks with both creatures. We're going to take it. I like our Undo Clerics a lot, and I don't want to lose them. We're coming to our end step. Mortuary Mire. Normally I'd hate to play it without having something to get back in the discard, but we do have Ghostly Flicker, so we can get the value back out of it. But just in case, let's go ahead and attack and see if that tempts him into killing anything. Didn't, so we'll play the Mire and Ghostly Flicker it if we need to. And of course we're leaving our Ghostly Flicker mana up just in case. He holds back Seagate Oracle this time, I guess, seeing that that was what was keeping me from attacking. Go to the end step. Yeah, don't really feel like we need to play anything there. Okay, so we could play a few things now. We could play an Undo Cleric and we still have Peel from Reality mana up. We would still have Cloud Shift mana up. We could play a Shield Mate, which doesn't do as much for us, but using, well, I guess we still wouldn't have Cloud Shift mana open because that would be our only white. So Shield Mate seems bad. It didn't seem that great before, but doesn't seem good. Peel from Reality. Join the Ranks. Playing Join the Ranks on the end step seems good. Oh boy. Let's just go for broke and play another Undo Cleric. Doesn't get countered. So we will be gaining 9 life. Unless, of course, he Electrickeries, but he does not. And so we just have Peel from Reality mana open now. Obviously, I'd prefer not to peel his Muldrifter or his Seagate Oracle from Reality, considering that that is draw power for him. This is pretty scary. He has a huge amount of mana on board, and he has 8 cards in hand. Rolling Thunder is a very dangerous card for us. Something that I am thinking we might be seeing right now. I think that that's what we are seeing right now. The reason that it is so scary is because it allows him to do exactly that. Put 1 damage to each of our creatures and put a lot onto us. So we'll be taking 6. So if we peel, no matter what we peel from Reality, he has the potential to play it again this turn. But I would like to save at least one of our Undo Clerics, especially if we're going to be taking a hit off of a burn spell. Let's peel from Reality, targeting an Undo Cleric and the Muldrifter. The reason I'm going for the Muldrifter is because if he wants to cast it this turn, he has to evoke it, which means that it will die. Whereas if I get the Seagate Oracle, he plays it this turn, gets the value out of it, and will be able to use it against me next turn. So we go down to 20. Good news is he had to put in a lot of work to get us back down to 20. We don't have many good options here, do we? I think we play... If we use our mana efficiently, the play is... well... I think the play is still Ondu Cleric, Moth Dust Changeling. Oh, why did I tap mana that way? I want here gain 1. Moth Dust Changeling gain 2, or it gets countered. Interestingly, it counters that, but not the Ondu Cleric. Well, I'd rather have the Ondu Cleric than the Changeling. But I'm very afraid of all of this mana. Mole Drifter. It's the 2. Prophetic Prism. Drawing a card. Mnemonic Wall. Getting back a... What did he get back? Oh, he didn't have a target for Mnemonic Wall. Okay. Not a lot of good ways to use mana efficiently here. Problem is we can do fun things like use Join the Ranks to get triggers for Ondu Cleric. Okay, so Forbidden Alchemy. We can do things like use that to get triggers for Ondu Cleric, but then when it comes down to the cards that we need to actually kill our opponent, like Halmar Excavator or our Raptor, we're not able to use them, obviously, because they're gone. And that's where we actually win the game, as opposed to staying alive. So it's kind of a double-edged sword as far as playing it. Yeah, a lot of mana being paid. I'm assuming this is going to be another Rolling Thunder. So Rolling Thunder for 14. Well, let's actually do Ghostly Flicker to flicker in the mire. Pay for it that. We'll use the mire. We really don't want to use the mire. I don't know why I did that. Now that I think about it, I don't want to put anything back on top. I guess we could put another Ondu Cleric back up. going to need to gain life. Use undo to gain life. We'll go down to 8. And now we're going to take a hit. We'll go down to 5. Cloud shift if we need to. Look at there, we drew an undo cleric. If we play the undo cleric, we actually cannot flicker again. Whereas if we don't, we can flicker twice. But if we flicker twice, it's going to be the same amount. So we'll play the undo cleric. It's still the best way to go. I'm pretty sure we're dead here, if not within the next couple of turns. I don't think that he's going to play more than 2 Rolling Thunders. So we'll take that. That's 3 damage. We're at 6. We're tapping red, so a Flame Slash. Well, there's our Halmar Excavator. I've kind of been hoping to see him for a while now. Or we have Join the Ranks. That gets us a lot of life. I'm going to play the Excavator. Because honestly, it's not too late to try to mill kill him. We'll leave Cloud Shift mana open. Yeah. The only problem is it may be too late for us to not time out. But this deck draws a lot of cards. Flashes back Forbidden Alchemy. He's going to look at top 4. So that's 4 less we have to worry about milling. Ghostly Flickers, the Wall, and the Maul Drifter. Well, that's 2 less we have to worry about getting. Unless the Wall gets back the Rolling Thunder. In which case, yeah, we're dead. Well, good game to our opponent. Yeah, I mean, those last 2 games, we got beat down pretty hard. But overall, I think the deck was fairly successful. I think we showed off what it does. I think that we saw the potential for how quickly the triggers multiply and how that makes the deck as dangerous as it is. So overall, I'd say that it was a successful match. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, leave a like in a comment telling me what you thought. Tell me your opinions on the deck. Try it out if you want to. It's very cheap, even for MTGO and Pauper prices. You could probably build the whole deck for probably $5 without the side deck. I haven't checked the prices recently, but it's not much at all. So check it out. Come back after you check it out. Tell me even more about what you thought of the deck. I'm CreepEvee. I'm signing out.